What is going on? Welcome into the All Access podcast. This is your home for sports in Charlotte and the Carolinas and the Queen City, really. And I have my new friend Trip in here. Trip, go ahead, take a sip, Big Daddy. How are
I'm
you
good.
doing?
I'm good. I'm well rested and invested.
Well rested and invested. By the way, I like the Hurricane shirt that you have on right now because lately they haven't been great. And I'm sure we'll probably talk about them in a little bit. But
Yeah.
is it a good look shirt? Because they need to get some things fixed real quick.
I'll say this. In all honesty, this is not my shirt I was wearing prior to this stream. I was doing dishes, washed the ice cream scoop, got water on my current shirt. I threw this one on. I thought, hey, it fits the podcast.
Yeah. Dude,
But
I
yes,
like
it is definitely a good luck shirt.
I got you. Well, we're gonna just be here, talk for a minute. What's going on with you? You just celebrated your birthday yesterday, right? And you had some delicious
Yeah,
Whataburger.
I did. Like what a cheeseburger. A large half and half. Large cherry lemon.
Cherry lemon. That's the only way to do it. So there's a restaurant in Harrisburg, AJ's Restaurant. Not sponsored. Not a sponsor. Could
Listen,
be.
listen.
Your logo
Big
could be
fan.
right here. But AJ's Restaurant has the best like cherry lemon sun drop. It's fantastic.
Chef's kiss. Okay.
Yeah, dude. Of course you got to give the chef's kiss to that thing.
I mean, I love both, so like I can't really argue with it. But
So we've met Mackie a little bit, and I've asked him this question before, and it's something that we're going to ask everyone that comes into the stream. Again, we're going to get into sports in a second, but first and foremost, you're stuck on a deserted island, if you will.
I'm
You only
ready.
get one meal. You have to survive the rest of your life with it. Don't worry, it's going to give you all the nutrients you need. What is that one meal going to be? Is it going to be like spaghetti and meatballs? Is it a rack of ribs? Is it lobster and steak, surf and turf? What is that one meal, deserted island, you have to enjoy the rest of your life? But it's going to give you what you need.
So are there any parameters, or kind of like it's what I want?
I need just like one main dish. I don't want to hear like I want a buffet
Okay, I
line
got
of
you.
18
I
different
got you.
options.
Okay.
Just want one.
Deserted island. I'm gonna get one thing.
Yeah.
All right. All right. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with crab legs.
Really?
Yes, because I feel like crack. Because I'm alone. I'm assuming it's just me out
Yeah.
there,
Oh yeah, it's just you, man.
right? So I'm cracking the shells. It's out of this motion right here, so I can
Yeah.
keep my forearm strong, so that I can like go grab other things.
Stay
like I
limited.
don't know, right? Exactly. So it's an upper body workout. So it's all mental.
All right,
Plus
gotcha.
they're delicious.
Yeah, dude, I messed with some crab legs. So you bring that up, and it's funny because so my wife had never really, she didn't really eat a lot of crab legs. My family does that for Thanksgiving instead of like ham or turkey. Oh, we bust into some crab legs. I mean, I'm talking pounds and pounds of crab legs, and I can
Really,
mess with some crab legs. I could throw that down for a while.
right? And plus it's a utensil-less food.
Yeah.
So like if I'm on an island eating a steak, I drop my fork in the sand.
Then you're out of luck
What
at
do you
that
do?
point.
That's what I'm saying. So it's all a process.
I got you. All right. Well, we're gonna hop into this. Welcome once again into the All Access Podcast, your home for sports in the Queen City, Charlotte, and the Carolinas. From the beach to the mountains, from Wilmington down to Columbia, wherever you are, we want to talk about your professional sports teams. Me and Trip are from around the Charlotte area. We both live in the vicinity of it, so Charlotte's sports is a big spot in our hearts. We've been fans for a long time. I've talked to him for a long time, and I'm excited to hear what he has to say about this. But we're going to be starting more nationally first. We have the NCAA basketball tournament going on. There's been a lot of surprises. Loyola was one that this morning. Syracuse just not cut down the nets. We're getting ahead of ourselves. They won their game a little bit earlier. What's been the biggest surprise to you so far?
Probably the Oral Roberts, Ohio State.
Oh, I
Anytime
forgot
a
about
15 beats a 2,
Yeah.
that's up there. But yeah, man, I think it's a lot of these schools that have the more like as seasoned people
Yeah.
are doing good because they have that continuity. They've been there for a few years. So
Yeah, it's been really impressive. So, like, Wisconsin was a team that after they beat North Carolina, I was like, oh, dude, it's the senior, it's the continuity, like you said, it's the camaraderie that these guys have together. They've been playing together for 4 or 5 years. It was that starting lineup is 4 seniors and 1 sophomore, I think. And I was like, man, they're going to make a run because that's what all these other clubs are doing. They have their super seniors that are in there because of the COVID restrictions where they were granted another year. Just thought that they were going to be able to do really, really well in their game. They kind of fell a little flat. But, yeah, dude, are you more surprised that the quote-unquote lesser teams are pulling off these upsets, or is it something that you kind of were expecting because you're like, you know what, it's 2020, man, everything goes out the window. Anything happens in March.
Right. Like going back to the Wisconsin-Carolina game for a second, Carolina was the tops in the country on offensive rebounding.
Yeah.
They were playing, you could argue, their best basketball going into the tournament. They experienced coach, right? So who knows? Maybe some people picked them to make a big run in the tournament. I'm not saying I did, but
who was it?
It was definitely me.
It was you.
Right. But at the same time, they're a younger team, right? Yeah. So like, but Wisconsin experience, like, I wouldn't say surprised, but like I definitely think it's a year where schools can kind of be like, hey, listen, like I know the money's there, but if you want to succeed, like grow as a player, maybe stay 2-3 years before you go make the jump to the league.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's the guy from Loyola. I keep wanting to say Marymount, but Chicago.
I do too.
Yeah. You know, with Sister Jane and her squad, the guy that was playing on the inside, Colkert, I believe is his name. I'm probably horribly butchering that, but that's a guy that's been there for years. He was there on the last run that they made. He's there again, and he's been here before. He's just a baller. He just wants to play. He's just a hard-nosed guy that wants to win, and, you know, kudos to them. I love the underdog story, as many people do. My team's never going to be in it. I'm an NC State fan and an App State fan. I'm not going to see those guys win it anytime soon, so I'm cheering for the underdogs, man.
Yeah, and sadly, Clemson lost to Rutgers. Yeah, you know, I had to hang my hat there.
Oof.
But like, I mean, you cheer for schools like that shouldn't win.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that George Mason year was magical.
Oh yeah, well
or those Butler teams.
Yeah, it felt like the George Mason squad is the one that kind of kicked it all off. Like everyone remembers the George Mason storyline of being like they made it to the round of 32, they made it to the Sweet 16. What is happening right now? And then, the Butlers came to the world. The Creightons started to being really solid.
The Butlers, the VCUs.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of VCU, Shaka Smart goes over to Texas. Texas gets knocked out last night by Abilene Christian. Not something that I was expecting to see because I thought this Texas team was going to make it to the Final Four. I thought that they were formed very, very well to be a good team in the tournament. And it's just not something I was predicting. By the way, David Brown in the chat, thank you so much. Crutwig, baby. I'm assuming you were a member of the Loyola Chicago fan group out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Abilene Christian down 1, and their worst free throw shooter at the line knocked them both down.
I can't. I think another thing is there's no fans, right? For the underdogs, if you're ahead, the fans supporting you is obviously going to elevate your play. But if these better programs, the big school programs are getting ahead early, there's not those fans that are just screaming in your ears. You're getting down. You're losing motivation. You're playing less. You're facing less obstacles and less challenges with so few fans in the stadium. Especially being if someone had a quote unquote home court advantage, like people having to play Carolina and Duke out of Greensboro and Raleigh for so many years. You don't have to see that anymore. It's kind of leveled the playing field, and it's just 5-on-5 when you're out there on the court.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. And like I saw something happen in the Arkansas-Colgate game, and I picked Colgate to win because like I read some things. I was like, hey, this is the one. This is the upset that I'm going to call.
Yeah.
And it was a close game to like the back half of the second half. So like the last quarter, if you will. And just it looked like Arkansas was like, okay, like it was fun while it lasted. Then they turned it up a little bit and it ended up being a pretty convincing, like at the end win. But to your point though, without the fans there's not that kind of crowd to push them to kind of drive. So it's just like you said, it's 5-on-5 basketball.
Yeah.
Like it's us versus y'all. Like who's better at putting the ball in the hoop.
And like I said, I think that helps a lot of these teams, man. These lower-seeded programs who probably don't have a lot of fans that are going out to some of their games, especially non-conference games. They probably don't get a lot of fans in the stands. The teams that they're traveling to probably don't put a lot of butts in seats. It's something that they're used to, man. And if it just feels like a scrimmage, I think that kind of relaxes you. We talk about people being overhyped going into big games, being getting the goosebumps, trying to have to shake their nerves out. If there's no one cheering you on out there, it doesn't feel as I mean, you understand the importance of it, but it doesn't feel as important or as big of a moment as it actually is, because we're down to 28 teams left in this tournament, and it doesn't feel like that because the fans have been missing, obviously. But I'm looking at some of these smaller schools, and this could be the year, man. There's a lot of them left.
Like, why not?
I would be so hyped if someone did, though. I would be so hyped.
Listen. I'm gonna this possibly with the bracket set up, but if they're on the right sides of the bracket, you give me an Abilene Christian versus Loyola Chicago championship game.
Yeah.
Double overtime.
That would be the jam.
Listen, final score 91-89.
Just an absolute barn burner out there. Yeah. Sister Jane's losing her mind out there in the stands. God.
Listen.
Exactly. I want them to do it for her, man. She's been there a while. She deserves it. I love watching her story.
Like they pick her up in her wheelchair and she cuts down the nets. Like, it writes itself.
It's a great story. Krusty Craig hopping into the chat. No Twitch today, man. We're hopping over to YouTube. So we're gonna be here for a while. Rylan says that he found it for a while. Was trying to search. Yeah, just guys, check your notifications, man. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook. all_access on most platforms. So thank you for hopping over here. Craig, you have subs to give. Don't worry, we'll be back over there on Twitch. For college basketball, you got anything else to add? You want to talk about any of the local programs? What do you want to talk about right now?
I think as a state, we didn't have the best showing.
It was a little disappointing
in this year. You got Carolina lost by 23 or whatever it was. UNC Greensboro, they held tough with Florida State, but didn't quite do it. Duke wasn't dancing.
Nope.
App State, they got in there with the conference win. Shouts out to the Mountaineers.
Big ups.
They got there and then they didn't get past the bouncer.
Yeah.
Teams like NC State, Wake Forest, like I can keep going. Yeah. Just as a state, we didn't put our best foot forward this year, and as a pretty known basketball college-eccentric state, it wasn't our year, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, it happens. You can't be dominant every year.
Yeah, and we talked about some of those underdog stories, underdog programs. You look at UNCG. A lot of people were thinking, maybe. Wes is doing a great job as coach down there. From when he left the Roy Williams program, he's been an awesome coach down there in the SoCon Conference or whatever, Southern Conference. Winthrop, right down the road. Another program that's had fantastic wins. They've been doing great in their conference. A lot of people picked them to beat Villanova. They kind of fell flat. It's just overall, man, it feels weird that basketball is not only here, but also Kentucky for the most part. It feels like it's kind of a bad thing that Kentucky isn't really in the program or in the tournament right now. So
yeah, it's definitely a weird year for that, but it's been a weird couple of years for a lot of things.
Oh yeah, what a time!
I guess it just fell in line.
Yeah, what a time. But someone that's not really having a weird year, turning it more, once again, being a little bit more hyper local with these Charlotte Hornets, who are off to an incredible start. Me and Mackie have talked about it for a while now. I am blown away by the start that the Charlotte Hornets had up until the All-Star break. We're probably going to get into this road trip here recently, but even LeBron James, who I hope gets healthy soon, high ankle sprain, he'll be out for a couple games. LeBron James had high praise for LaMelo Ball. Is LaMelo Ball blowing you away as much as he is the rest of us, or were you high on him coming out of the draft?
Well, kind of both, a little bit. So I knew that the talent was there.
Yeah.
It's like he was stud highlights, high school, Australia, all that good stuff.
Looks great.
But the thing was, like, he's a project. Like, he's going to be coming in raw. Like, will he take time? Like, how will he adapt to the pro game?
Yeah.
And then he was like, hey, give me basketball and let me work. Yeah. Pretty much. And, like, I mentioned in the article I wrote about him, I think you can find it on the website, shameless plug.
There it is.
So, basically, like, his skill set is so unique.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we've not had a playmaker like that. You could argue ever on the Hornets.
Yeah.
Like, we just ball down, like, where's the ball going? Even the person who's catching the pass doesn't know where it's going to go.
Mm-hmm.
And as a starter, he's averaging like 27 and 6, something like that.
Yeah.
Across 3 categories.
Line. Yeah.
Right. So I think he is he's good. Like, I'm surprised at how fast he became good.
Yeah.
But I'm not surprised that he is this good, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I think that makes great sense. I mean, head coach JB has done a phenomenal job, not only with him, but a lot of the young talent that they've brought up recently. PJ Washington, we'll see we've yet to see what his ceiling is. He could be a tremendous athlete. He has the potential. But Miles Bridges, I feel like he's getting the most out of these young guys. Miles Bridges, Devontae Graham, Malik Monk, shifting him from the starting lineup to a little bit more of a spark plug, the battery pack on coming off the bench. He's putting these guys in a position to win and excel and do what they do best. And I think bringing in that guy like LaMelo Ball, who, again, we knew the raw talent was there. We didn't know what you could get out of him. A lot of people were doubting because of his defensive ability, saying, oh, he doesn't play defense. He kind of lackluster. Well, it probably didn't have to. Coach probably didn't make him. That's not what was putting butts in seats in other leagues that he was playing in. And now you're playing in the NBA where all eyes are on you. Yeah, you're going to have to play a little defense. And I think JB is getting the most out of him. And kudos to the coaching staff.
Yeah, for sure. And pretty sure he's a Popovich disciple, if I'm not mistaken. I think he was on the Spurs staff there for a while.
Correct. Yeah.
He came over here. So he's seen like how good coaching is done. Malik Monk, or as I call him, Mini Lou Williams. I think he has that.
He fits that
style
role.
of play. Yeah. Just 20 off the bench whenever you need it. There's something. There's a hole there. There's something we're missing. Yeah. It's no secret to what we're missing.
I think we're on the same page, man.
Yeah.
might be down low.
Right there in the middle.
Yeah, right there in the middle. So there was a lot of rumors, and I'm going to go a little bit off script here, but there was a lot of rumors that a guy like Vucevic was going to come here. There's people that even last stream, Mackie said Miles Turner might be a guy from Indiana that the Hornets would be interested in. Is there anyone that you are keeping your eye on? Some people were hoping it was Blake Griffin. I wasn't a huge fan of that. I don't think he's gotten above the rim in 3 years. But is there a guy that you're watching that you want to see get down low? Or are you fine with Zeller, Biz, and a little bit of PJ right now?
Well, let me start by saying I'm not fine with Zeller and Biz.
You just want more. You want more out of this program.
Right.
Gotcha.
Right. So let me take this opportunity and this platform to say, if you are by chance watching James Borrego, I'm going to need you to get in your car. I'm assuming it's a nice car. Drive down to Greensboro to the Swarm facility. And I want you to grab Vernon Carey and say, pack your bags, we're going to Charlotte. I want you to give him a shot.
Yeah.
Because he is just dominating down there. Now, granted, I know it's the G League; it's a little bit different.
Yeah, I mean, you can be you can be the best middle schooler on a T-ball team. That doesn't mean you're going to be the best on your varsity team when you get called up, man.
Right. There's a phrase I'm going to use here. It's a great phrase. It's called "It can't get worse than what's already happening."
And pretty true.
Just put him out there. At worst, he's not good. Well, guess what? We're not good down low anyways.
Yeah.
But you spend an early second round pick on him. Let's see what he's there. Now, to your question, though, about the trade questions, right?
Yeah.
I like the Miles Turner thing. Vucevic is cool. I'm worried about what we have to give up to get him because we're young. Like you said, we got like LaMelo, Miles, PJ, Malik, Devontae, like this young nucleus of talent. And is it worth trading one or two of those guys plus maybe a high-end pick or something to where if we get Vucevic, let's say, just for example, we trade Devontae, Malik, and a first for Vucevic, right? Mm-hmm. That's two, now that Ball's starting, that's two key guys off the bench and a top 20 pick, I believe, probably top 20 pick for a guy he's a good sample. He's in his 30s, you know.
Yeah.
And he at best gets us maybe a first-round series win in the East. Mm-hmm. And I say maybe because, like, who knows? Like, if we go up against Brooklyn as the 7 seed and they're the 2 seed or 8 playing the 1 or whatever, I don't care if we have a prime Hakeem Olajuwon. I don't think we're going to beat that team with our guard. Now, I'm going to say this because, like, I mean, I love them. But if you put Kyrie and James Harden up against our guards – knives and forks, like they're gonna be eaten. Like, and I'm saying that as a fan. Listen,
you
That's comes from my heart.
Listen,
Like,
you don't talk about my boo like that. They're coming together.
One?
And they're going to be
Which one?
hot. I'm talking about all of our guards, man. Give me
Okay, you
LaMelo
said
over
boo,
anyone right now.
Singular.
Well, it's LaMelo.
Listen, I love LaMelo. In fact, I have a jersey coming in the mail. It should be here Tuesday or Wednesday.
Oh, okay. So you to go back to a point that you were just talking about, you were talking about trading away some of these guys to find someone down low, and again, just to kind of go off script a little bit, looking forward, it's a very similar issue, in my opinion, that the Panthers just went through, where there's going to be too many mouths to feed, because if you can't keep all three guards, you can't keep Graham, Rozier, and Ball, I don't think, at least, and then sprinkle in your Malik Monk over there, I don't think you can keep all of them. Why not get a little bit something for Devontae Graham, who in many people's eyes, we're not on the coaching staff, but in many people's eyes, is going to be that third guy. You're not going to move him back down to the G League. You're not going to keep him on the bench. Get some value out of him for someone that can use him and needs a strong six man or a point guard that's just going to come in and be their own spark plug. So I'm in line with you. Would you be okay if Devontae Graham was that piece?
Yeah, I mean, now I'm not like against trading these guys at all. I'm just saying like there's a line that like I don't want to cross as a team. Mm-hmm. Like there's a certain point where you got to think about, okay, like what's best for the future versus what's best for the now.
Yeah.
Like if I thought we were a center away from hoisting the O'Brien Trophy, then sure, like sell the farm, get a Turner, get a Vucevic, like get somebody big. Mm-hmm. But I said like we're at the point where we are climbing, but like we're not there yet.
Yeah. And David brings up a good point. Cho's gone. We can trust the draft process a little bit better. And you know, we've seen it with with this class specifically. LaMelo Ball's playing great. Vernon Carey, I think you mentioned, playing much better than anyone anticipated. He was kind of a raw talent coming out of Duke, and he's performing and absolutely dominating the JV league. But he looks really good right now.
Yeah, I texted some friends of mine less than 2 minutes after we took LaMelo. Yeah, I said I want Vernon Carey in the second round.
You were a freaking mind reader.
I have receipts. I can text them to you. I have receipts from that day.
I can't wait to see. You are a freaking genius.
Listen, I mean, like, athletic big man is the wave.
Yeah. Hey, listen. Well, the Hornets are going to get straightened out. It's been 3 in a row that they've lost, unfortunately.
Yeah. So
the East, we've talked about it. The East it pales in comparison to what the NBA, the Western Conference is. A 6 seed in the West is probably a 2 or 3 in the East. The East
at worst.
Yeah, at worst. This in the East from 4 down to 10, I think, was separated by 2.5 games. So the Hornets are going to have to really straighten this thing out to get into those play-in games, which I think is where a lot of people probably see them falling, is that 7-8 seed, which is borderline playing for the play-in of the tournament, because there is that expanded playoff format this year. Would you rather the Hornets get one and done and like sneak into the playoffs and lose first round, or not make the playoffs and have a little bit better draft position going into next year?
I think for so I think with this year, I haven't watched a ton of college basketball, so I'm not super informed on this draft class. Mm-hmm. As far as like, I know like the top guys like Cunningham, Evan Mobley, guys like that. But those like later round, like late teens into your 20s picks, I'm not super informed about them. But it's been a while since I've been confident in the Hornets team going into the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a long time.
This year, give me a first round, like a first round, like 6-game series loss, or who knows, even like 6-game series loss, something like that, or a early win. That's fine. Yeah. Because at least we're in the dance. Like once you're at the dance, like you don't know. Yeah. So I think for this year, I'll take the early exit.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I want to see them at least make it in the playoffs. I think it gives a lot of hope and a lot of buzz. As Rylan said in the chat, again, if you're here, help drive the discussion. Hop into the chat. Let us know what you think. LaMelo Ball is the only reason he's watching Charlotte basketball, and I think that is true for a lot of people. I don't remember the last time this team was getting this much support anywhere. I mean, if you look at Twitter, Hornets Twitter has been blowing up this year. And he's definitely one of the main reasons people are now watching. We're very fortunate that they also have Gordon Hayward, who's been playing, has had some fantastic games this year. Terry Rozier has had some great games, and the clutch factor of them late in games has kept people involved and not want to turn off the game, because there's, like you said, there's always a chance, and you never know what's going to happen. And I think that's what makes this team so appealing. You got anything left you want to add about the Charlotte Hornets? Because we got some important stuff to get to with the Panthers that I'm real hype about.
I know. I'm going to close with this on the Hornets.
Let's hear it.
Two quick things. One, Airbnb, best name in sports right now.
Hands down.
Best thing
going
going
in sports.
And two, this road trip we just went 0-3 on. Nuggets, Lakers, Clippers, right?
It's tough.
Clippers, got Paul George putting up like 26 and 10, I think. Like, we can't, no answer for that. Lakers, LeBron James, ever heard of him? And then with the Nuggets, you got the Joker with the triple double.
Yeah.
So those are three pretty high end teams. Like, I'm not worried about the road trip, but I'm excited to see what we do kind of later in the second half of the season for sure.
Yeah. D Chill says, keep the hype up. Put Melo in the playoffs. Exactly. I want to see what he does with all lights on him. Also, my last thing that I'm going to say about the Charlotte Hornets is I'm amazed by the little bit of poise that LaMelo Ball has, where he's not getting overamped. The moment never seems too big for him. And that's something that really surprised me. I thought he was going to come in here and kind of be starstruck going out here and stepping into, playing against LeBron James. And I think, and I've said it before, I think he is the player that we all expected Lonzo Ball to be, who was in LA and didn't do as good as we thought he was. I absolutely love LaMelo Ball this year, and I definitely want to see him in the playoffs because, again, there's no moment that's been too big for him. Antoine says, Hornets need Andre Drummond. I don't think that's a bad idea.
Been saying it for years.
Yeah, a lot of us have been saying it. We know that we need the help on the inside, and I think Andre Drummond can absolutely be the guy that plugs it and can have some sustainability for a couple years. And they need to get that fast with the trade deadline quickly approaching. All right, Panthers. Rolling over to the Carolina Panthers talk. Again, if you're in the chat, please let us know what you want to talk about. If you haven't already, join us on Facebook, facebook.com/allaccess. We're always talking sports over there. You'll see more articles from the website. Trip has written a decent amount of them, and they are fantastic articles. If you enjoy reading and just want to get your sports knowledge in a hurry, maybe it's in bed, put it in night mode. Go read it as a bedtime story to your kids. If you have kids, I don't really care. There's some awesome articles that are over there. So follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, live every Thursday and Sunday. But the Carolina Panthers, my pride and joy, my favorite team on the planet, making a big splash in a big way, something that people have been saying, obviously since Greg Olsen left, that they need a tight end that's going to do a little bit of offensive production. And you're really high on Dan Arnold.
Yeah, Dan the man, I think
freaking amazing.
Yeah, I mean he's like 6'6", 250, runs well.
Yeah.
And now I'm gonna say this. I'm not gonna go crazy and say like we found the next Kelsey, Kittle, Waller, Olsen. Like I know like that's a super high bar, right?
Yeah,
I'm not saying that.
That's elite level.
I'm not saying that. So like before y'all are like, oh, it's fan bias, and listen to this, all right? If you watch his highlights, right, I think if used correctly, he can be first of all a red zone threat at that size, and just a guy like in the middle, across the middle of the field, like that security blanket. Whether it's Teddy or a new guy, which I'm sure we're going to get into that in a second, whoever's taking the snaps at quarterback has like the guy you can check down to. Okay, I need to put you 10 yards. Boom, tight end. And I think he can be a useful piece if used correctly. Again, go back to like kind of compared to the Hornets in the center position, Ian Thomas is not it, right?
Yeah.
So you bring in Dan Arnold, who worked with Joe Brady in New Orleans, and like 2 years, $6 million. It's not breaking the bank to bring him in there.
Yeah.
Athletic guy, like I said, runs well, good hands. I wish I had to see him play for the Panthers. And just see what happens. So.
Yeah, I mean, he had an excellent year in an offense that obviously was able to put up a lot of production, and very few teams, except the Carolina Panthers, were able to slow down the Arizona Cardinals offense. You got a quarterback back there who's 5'1" on a good day, in cleats, standing on his wallet, throwing the ball up to whoever's out there. DeAndre is going to go up and get it. Dan Arnold was going to go up and get it. Larry Fitzgerald was a big target. Dan, all he had to do was catch, and that's what he did. And I'm excited to bring that in because you mentioned a lot of names that of tight ends that teams had. And if you look at the playoffs, me and Mackie, who we've talked about it before, elite tight end play was something that a lot of these playoff teams had in common. Travis Kelce, Dawson Knox played better than he should have. Robert Tonyan from Green Bay played better than he should have. Rob Gronkowski, Cameron Bray, OJ. You have all of these guys, and I can guarantee you, anyone outside of the Carolina Panthers fan base could not tell you who the Carolina Panthers tight end was this past season. People probably still thought it was Greg Olsen. So I think going out and getting Dan Arnold is a huge pickup for them, especially with losing Curtis Samuel, who I know both of us were very high on. Got to get a little bit more production out of that tight end position. He can block, he can catch. So I'm really hyped for it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So those are some of the sightings that they've had. They've done a lot of improvement on the defense. I've asked it before. Jeremy Chin, where's he going to be playing next year? You think he's going to be definitely like a safety, or you think they're going to kind of flex him all over the field and let him just be the freakish athlete that he is?
I think it could go either way. So I have a plan that they have not called me and asked me about, but I have a plan for the Panthers this year defensively.
They need to call you. Let's talk.
They should call me.
They should.
But so we signed Hassan Reddick. We got in there Denzel Perryman. And so we got a good edge rusher, like a good guy in the middle for the defense. Jeremy Chin, if we can put him at safety and keep him there, that's one thing, that's fine. But if we can add another defensive, another front seven guy. Yeah. Because I think Reddick, he can be your end, he can be outside linebacker, he can kind of go wherever you want him to.
Yeah.
And there's a free agent out there. I won't say any names. But he played in South Carolina. He made a big play in the Outback Bowl in 2013 against Michigan. His name rhymes with Jadeveon Clowney.
Sounds like it might be Jadeveon Clowney.
It is. I didn't have that very well. I say you sign him.
Okay.
Bring him in here, and then I'll put Shin at safety. Mm-hmm. Have the linebacking core of Reddick, Perriman, and Shaq Thompson. And then have the D-line bookended by Clowney and Burns with Matos rotating in.
Okay.
And that gives us that guy, because I think Jeremy Chin, has a chance to be like an Earl Thomas type. Mm-hmm. Good against the run, good ball skills and everything.
He's great with plays in front of him, for sure.
Right. So you put him there and just see what happens. Jeremy Chin, who I don't like his nickname, King Swiper. I don't like it. I'll say it right now. It should have been Sweet Chin Music. I don't care what anybody says.
Chin Music is far better than King Swipe Up.
Yeah.
I'm a little disappointed that a lot of people are thinking Jeremy Chin's going to be playing back in the safety position. I think, don't get me wrong, the safety position is important. You need to have a good safety, but I think it is the least important position on the defensive side of the ball. I think having an excellent front seven is more vital for a team's success. Chiefs, Bucks had great pass rushers and strong linebacker play. If you could name me a safety on either one of those teams, please go ahead and do that now. Besides Tyrann Mathieu.
Dang it.
Because he's only been a namesake since he left LSU.
Antoine Winfield Jr.
Okay, I'll take it. The front seven, in my opinion, is absolutely essential. When they play good, it allows your defensive backs to play aggressive, and hopefully that's what Phil Snow's offense is going to be doing this upcoming season. And I think Jeremy Chin, I want to see him make plays. And as you said, he makes plays in front of him. He's a good run stopper. He's good left to right, sideline to sideline. I don't know how good he is one-on-one in coverage, so to speak. So we'll have to see how that improves or to see how that works out, because I do like your idea of getting one more person up front as kind of as a runner. That Jared Allen signing that we had a few years ago for the Carolina Panthers, I think is something that you need to get. Get a vet, and don't bring Jared Allen back, but get a vet in here that's going to make plays, give some veteran leadership to a very young defense, and see what happens.
Yeah.
Someone had mentioned it, and I missed it through the chat the first time, but they said, what do they want what do we want to do in the draft? And I'm assuming they're talking about the Carolina Panthers here, since that's what we're on. I think it depends on what happens with the quarterback situation. I don't think there's anyone that does not want Deshaun Watson. So, for this instance, I need 2 answers from you, Trip. 2. I need 1.
Ready.
If Deshaun Watson comes, what are the Carolina Panthers doing round 1? If Deshaun Watson does not come, and Teddy Bridgewater is going to be that guy under center, planning on that guy being under center, I should say, what will the Carolina Panthers be doing? So 2 scenarios. I need 2 answers, and it could be the same one either way. It could be an offensive lineman regardless of who comes in. There's some people that say that, so I need to know. What's your thoughts on that?
So, if Deshaun Watson comes here,
this is it.
What we're doing in the first round is absolutely nothing, because that pick will have gone to Houston to acquire him.
Okay, so what role is most essential for them to fill if Deshaun Watson comes in? Doesn't matter what round. I just want to know what would be the position to fill.
I would say left tackle.
Okay.
We brought in Cam Irving, who's he can move around a little bit on the line, but I'm not bringing in Deshaun Watson to be protected by Cam Irving. Like, all due respect to you, Mr. Irving, if you're watching.
If I'm Deshaun Watson, I'm not coming here to be protected by.
That's what I'm exactly. So it's gotta be left tackle for me. Is the key piece. Other than that, Taylor Moton got tagged. Parrott is restructured. We signed Pat Elfline or Efline, however you say his name. Yeah. I think he could be a decent guard. Definitely would say left tackle though for that question.
Yeah.
Now, if he doesn't come here, which I think push comes to shove, I don't think he's gonna come. I would love it. Go Tigers. But if he does not come, and I have 2 scenarios.
Yeah.
One is we trade up and we take a guy like a Justin Fields, or maybe if he's gonna be gone, you get a Trey Lance if we have to. But if we stay at 8, just devil's advocate here, and Trevor Lawrence obviously will be gone at 1.
Yeah.
Zach Wilson probably gonna go 2 to the Jets based on what I'm seeing a lot of mocks say. And then if Fields and Lance are all gone, those top 4 guys are all gone at 8, and a decision is gonna have to be made in that moment. Is Teddy the guy for 1 more year, and then we'll try to just next year? Do we trade back and kind of see what we can get? Do we stay put and take best player available? Or do they go and say, you know what? We saw this kid win the Natty this year. We coached him at the Senior Bowl. He's a good kid. And I've texted my friends about this almost daily. If we roll the dice on McCorkle Jones at 8, I will say this. And to me, that means one of 2 things.
Yeah.
One, Teddy's they're like, listen, anybody but Theodore, get him out of here.
Yeah.
Or 2, they think, listen, this guy he throws a good ball. We have the weapons around him.
Yeah.
Joe Brady's offense at LSU. Granted, he's not Joe Burrow. I'm not saying that. He throws a good ball, has good weapons around him. Bring him in. Maybe he can succeed. I don't know, right? But me personally, if all 4 were gone, we're sitting there at 8, I wouldn't be upset if we took a Rashawn Slater or a Patrick Surtain or a J.C. Horn, something like that to fill another hole if we're not confident in the current quarterback option. Yeah. In the draft, that is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I'm along the same lines with you with the Teddy Bridgewater situation. I really think no matter who the Panthers, they don't get Deshaun, they don't get Russell, they don't get a quarterback in the offseason, they don't trade, don't pick up a free agent. Teddy, going into the draft, is the guy. Whoever they draft, I think Teddy's going to be a 16-game starter. I don't think they're going to be throwing in Lance, Fields, Matt. I don't think they're throwing any of them in first year. That's just my take. I think Joe Brady, Matt Rule are going to want to take their time with whoever it is. Unfortunately, That's just my thought. I do not mind one person that just popped up in the chat, Dustin Childers, if he's there. But I don't think he will be. Trey Lance, did his pro day bump him up or bump him down? I think his pro day elevated him very high. Watching some of those highlights, he looked really, really good. However, you got to understand, man, you're in shorts and a t-shirt. Pro day is designed to make you look your best. I don't think he ran the 40, but the pro day is designed for you to showcase your best talent. I don't think there's a lot of pro days that are going to hurt guys unless there's an injury that happens or they just look absolutely horrible and, a wide receiver drops 13 of 14 balls or something like that. But Trey Lance, I think he did a lot for himself. The Panthers are clearly invested in a guy like this after they sent, what was it? Was it Fitterer, Rule, and Joe Brady were all there for Lance's pro day, I think it was?
Sent the house.
Yeah, you got to imagine. They're got to be really interested. And if they wouldn't have beat Washington, thanks a lot, Curtis Samuel, for having a career day. If they wouldn't have beat Washington, the Panthers would have been at the 3 pick, and I think Trey Lance coming to Carolina is a very real possibility, or would have been.
Yeah, and now I'll be very clear here. If he's there at 8, you take him before the music plays at the draft. Like the card's in.
Just go ahead and write it in.
Get him from Bismarck to Charlotte as soon as you can.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and real quick, I see your Washington football team game, and I raise you. If we had just not signed Teddy in the first place, hey, Will Greer, here's the job. 0-16, Trevor Lawrence coming to Charlotte. But that's something I'm fine with. I'm over it.
I got to be honest, man. The Teddy Bridgewater, and I don't want to bring it up too much because the first 5 games of the last year, I thought Teddy Bridgewater looked really good. I really thought I never agreed with the money. I think most people never agreed with the money or the contract that he signed. I think a lot of people were scratching their heads when that was done, thus making the situation even worse for the Carolina Panthers. But for the Carolina Panthers to come out and say that we're not shying away from any quarterback opportunity. We're not going to shy away from any trades that could be out there, and actively announcing that they're seeking out quarterback trades for Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson,
right,
and putting themselves out there, I think has only hurt them because now everyone just gets to sit back and be like, listen, we know that you need a quarterback. We know you don't like Teddy Bridgewater's contract. We know this and that. Forcing the Carolina Panthers to probably overpay for whoever they get. Deshaun Watson's worth whatever it is, but all the other teams get to hold the cards because they know the Carolina Panthers are in a bad position. It's either trade for one or pick one up in the draft.
Yeah.
But that contract, I think, is what let a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths at the beginning. Looking at the draft as well, I thought Kyle Pitts was going to be a guy that people were interested in if they picked up a quarterback. I thought Kyle Pitts was going to be the guy, but now you got Dan Arnold, man. What else do you need? You get
who needs an assumed generational talent at tight end when you have Dan Arnold?
Okay, so real quick, you said the word generational.
Mm-hmm.
I have heard the word generational be thrown on every single quarterback this year. People are like Deshaun Watson, generational talent. Russell Wilson, generational talent. Trevor Lawrence, got to get him in the draft, generational talent. Patrick Mahomes, he's the visionary, man. He's the next. He is the generational talent. How many generational talents can there actually be? Because eventually they can't all be generational talents, right? Like that's held for the elite of the elite. Do you think that any of these quarterbacks in the draft, including Trevor Lawrence, are going to be a generational talent? Like best of the best?
If there's gonna be one, I think it's gonna be Lawrence.
Mm-hmm. I think it depends on the situation as well, wherever he goes.
Fair.
But I think he's the one that could do it.
Wherever he goes, Jacksonville. He's gonna be there. Assuming everything goes the way it's being painted right now.
Yeah.
He'll be there with Urban Meyer. DJ Chark's still there. Laviska Shenault. I'm a big fan of his as well.
Yeah,
out of Colorado. Tight end. They got Chris Manhertz, so still probably get a good guy there. I think if it's him, if there's gonna be one, but that's such a high bar to set. Like generational. That's talking about at one point, like, who's the greatest of all time? Like, Peyton Manning, coming out of Tennessee, probably had that. I mean, I was like 4 years old when he got drafted.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, he probably had that tag on him. Like, people like Elway, but, like, nobody labeled Tom Brady at 199 as generational.
Mister, I didn't
Like,
even
this
start
guy,
my senior year.
right, like, 7 rings right here. Like, called it. So I think it's a word that it's a cup that rarely gets filled.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah, it's fun to slap that label on whoever it is because you want your pick to pay off. So hopefully whoever they do bring in is truly a generational talent and can bring sustained success to this team because, the Panthers' youngest defense in recent NFL history last year. Now you bring in some really strong pieces that you've mentioned, the Morgan Fox, the Hassan Reddick pick coming out. You've put a lot of pieces in place that I think they could have sustained success. If they get one offensive lineman and I'm a quarterback, it's a place that I want to be. You have fantastic weapons with DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, CMC, now Dan Arnold. Looking at the other side of the ball, a defense that's going to be improved throughout the year, so they're going to be very good for a while. And then you look at the division. Drew Brees is gone. Matt Ryan's aging out. Tom Brady will eventually age out. The Carolina Panthers are on they're rising to the climax. Is that the exposition? Is that I don't know what part of the English word that is, but they're on the rise, and the other teams seem to be on the downfall. So it's a place that I think quarterbacks should want to come, and I hope they see it that way.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Like, especially like we have, in my opinion, the most underappreciated receiver in the NFL at Denniston Moore Jr.
Absolutely agreed.
Like, we have him. We have the deep threat in Robbie Anderson.
Yeah.
We got CMC, who everyone knows what he's about. He's a stud among studs.
Oh yeah.
And then we have a bit of question mark with Dan Arnold and David Moore being brought in as well as that third receiver. Definitely the pieces are there. Like, we have the instruments. We see the right conductor to lead that symphony.
Yeah. I agree. And one person you just brought up is David Moore. I'm really excited to see the Carolina Panthers bring him in. Scott Fitterer, who a lot of people are saying is an excellent drafter, clearly sees something in him to bring him in. You weren't able to keep Curtis Samuel, who is garnering a very large contract for what a wide receiver 3, possibly 4 in this offense would have been, with CMC probably playing some out of the slot next year. Can't afford that. Bring in a guy like David Moore, you can absolutely afford that, and there's got to be something there. If Scott Fitterer, brand new to the job, is going to bring in one of his own guys, it's going to have to pay off. Rule wants to bring in his own guys, bring in his own coaches, bring in his own players. Obviously, there has to be something there because your job depends on it, so it needs to be a good signing. What else? What else you got for the Carolina Panthers, man?
I'm gonna say just on a hopeful note, on a going forward. So this past year we had Matt Rule, Joe Brady, Phil Snow.
Yep.
All filling these new holes. First year out of college, no real off season, like no real training camp, preseason, OTAs, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So they kind of had to find their footing as they were doing it
on a limited preseason.
So exactly. I'm very interested to see now. I think Joe Brady will be more comfortable, like calling some certain plays. Maybe he was kind of reserved last year. Maybe he's gonna kind of let it loose this year a little bit more. Yeah. Like Phil Snow, like defensively another year older in that system. So I think that moving forward, I think we're in a good spot. Do we get a new quarterback this year? I think we all hope so. Another article you can read, the case for Teddy Bridgewater on the website. Exactly. Where if he's the guy this year, who knows, right? Maybe we go 7-9 and still miss the playoffs. But I think that a guy like Trey Lance or a guy like Justin Fields, if they come in, and to your point, if they sit the whole first year, that's fine, because they can sit, learn the system behind Teddy. Because for all accounts, he's a great locker room guy. Is that Teddy Bridgewater?
Yeah.
So kind of like learn how to be professional, learn how to play under him, and then that third year of his contract, it's pretty team friendly if I'm not mistaken. So you kind of leading up to that. So just in a nutshell, just keep the faith no matter what happens with this team,
Mm-hmm.
because big things are coming.
That's right. I 100% agree. I think big things are coming. Keep the faith because Rome wasn't built in a day, man. It took Matt Rule at least 2 seasons to turn around Temple and Baylor, and then they had stupid good seasons. So I'm hoping that's what is on the other side of this season, with a full offseason with his team, a full offseason with most of his coaching staff here, bringing in some more pieces, shedding those really bad contracts, bringing in more guys for more affordable, team-friendly deals, which it seems like they've been doing all offseason. I think there's brighter and greener pastures ahead for the Carolina Panthers, and it's going to be so good because I want to be a force to be reckoned with. I want Charlotte. Not only do they have great food that we've talked about here with Whataburger and Cookout and Bojangles, which all could be a sponsor here on the stream. Feel free to reach out.
If they want to.
Yeah, if you want to. No free advertisement besides that little plug. But besides that, I want Charlotte and the Carolinas to be an absolute powerhouse for sports. I want this to be what Tampa Bay was this past year. I want this to be what Boston was of the last 15 years, with the Bruins being an absolute unit. The Boston Celtics having great success, stealing away some of our good talent like Kemba Walker. And that's what I want. I want Charlotte to be awesome. And Austin, I don't know if you are messing with me right now, but he just wrote in the chat that Melo fractured his wrist. And if you are playing with me right now, I will snap your neck, little boy. That better not be true.
Hold on.
Listen,
LaMelo may have wrist fracture. Getting second opinion.
May have wrist fracture. Austin.
And breaking news: Rams signed Deshaun Jackson.
Jackson. Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Good for Matt Stafford, man. I feel bad for the years of. Let me say this. I think Matt Stafford is very underrated. That guy is a gunslinger, and he deserves to be on a winning organization. So good for him in shining Deshaun Jackson and getting more talent in there because, man, that's awesome. I'm happy for him. He deserves to have some success. Matt Stafford, that is.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, well, I got to get out of here so that we can go check on this LaMelo Ball situation because now I'm panicking a little bit. I'm going to need to take myself a little bubble bath, pour some wine, and think about this because that's not good. I don't know what that means for the Hornets moving forward, but all the stuff that we said about possibly moving on from Devontae Graham and using him as a trade piece, depending on how much time is missed with a wrist fracture, obviously you're going to have to reconsider that because that guy, as you mentioned, is kind of the heart of that team thus far. Just really been a strong player for them.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully it's just like a bruise or something, just a flesh wound. And
Like a few weeks ago, Gordon Hayward re-injured his knee, and they're like, "Ooh, that's not going to be good." Or he fell and got like a hip bruise or something. Like, hey,
right,
it's not good. Like he's going to be out for 10 to 12 games. And he's back in 2 games.
And how often do NBA point guards use their wrists? Really?
Well,
like once every half second.
Yeah, pretty frequently, especially the right wrist when you're a right-handed shooter.
His style of play, I think he'll be okay. He'll be fine. Just rub some dirt on it.
Yeah, get up, rub some dirt on it. Come on, walk it off. Be all right.
Yes, exactly.
No, definitely hoping the best for LaMelo Ball. Thank you so much for everyone that's hopped in the chat, Austin. We were checking Twitter, so 100% confirmed. Rylan, thank you for talking to us. D-Chill, appreciate you hopping in here, talking about the draft for the Carolina Panthers. And finally, David Brown says, nice shirt, good old Tripper. So David Brown approves of the shirt.
Take warning, storm coming. Yeah. Shouts out.
Yeah, take warning. Carolina Hurricanes will get this whole situation fixed, and they will once again be the best team in the NHL. Nothing's better than NHL hockey.
Right here. Right here. Trips take to close it out.
Yeah.
Right here.
Oh, I love it. Trips take.
The Carolina Hurricanes will hoist a Stanley Cup before my daughter starts preschool. So within the next 2 years.
Oh, wow.
Write it down in Sharpie on a piece of stone.
2 years.
Next 2 years.
Wow. All right, listen. I've got this recorded, so everyone, pay attention. Trips take.
Best trophy in sports.
They're going to lift the trophy within the next 2 years. You heard it here first. Only on the All Access podcast, your home for sports in the Queen City and the Carolinas. Thank you so much for tuning in with us. Find us every Thursday and Sunday talking sports. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much for joining us. Hope everyone has a good one.